Emmerdale. John Sugden sabotages Robert's fresh start in explosive showdown. Life after prison was never going to be easy for Robert Sugden, but in this week's dramatic Emmerdale episode, viewers saw his journey toward redemption violently derailed by none other than his own half-brother, John Sugden. With a toxic mix of paranoia, resentment, and unhealed wounds driving his every move, John ensured Robert's fragile new beginning ended almost before it began. As the episode opened, the atmosphere was already tense. Robert, plagued by guilt, struggled with the aftermath of an altercation that left Victoria Sugden, his sister and housemate, with a visible black eye. Though unintentional, the injury served as a painful symbol of just how much trauma Robert still carried from his time behind bars. Victoria, who had taken a compassionate but risky stance by allowing Robert to move in with her and young Harry, was forced to call in sick to work, fearing the judgment that her bruised face might provoke. Robert, haunted by his own demons and conscious of the threat he might pose to those he loved, made a heartbreaking decision. "It's too dangerous for me to stay," he told Victoria, packing his bags and preparing to leave the house. But Victoria, ever the supportive sister, begged him to reconsider, on one condition: that he finally seek professional help for the recurring nightmares and outbursts rooted in his prison experience. Reluctantly, Robert agreed. It was a small victory in a long war, a tiny glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, he could claw his way back to normality. But that hope was quickly extinguished. Caleb's dilemma. Meanwhile, over at the Milligan household, Caleb was preparing for a new day of business, completely unaware that he was about to be caught in the crossfire of a long brewing feud between the Sugden brothers. When Robert showed up late to his first day working at Caleb's shipping business, Caleb was stern but forgiving. Robert, eager to make things right, apologized and threw himself into the job, trying to prove his worth. For a moment, it seemed like the worst was behind him. But John had other plans. Having noticed Robert's proximity to Aaron Dingle, his former husband and John's own emotional sore spot, John grew increasingly paranoid about Robert's presence in the village. He wasted no time confronting Caleb, using a dark secret from their shared past as leverage. "I think you're forgetting something, Anthony," John hissed, invoking the name of a man whose death still haunted them both. It was a chilling reminder. Caleb had owed John ever since the day he helped him cover up Anthony Fox's murder. Caleb's face paled. "What's that got to do with it?" he asked, but the unease in his voice betrayed his inner turmoil. John didn't flinch. "Are you trying to blackmail me?" Caleb demanded, already knowing the answer. Caught between loyalty and fear, Caleb buckled under the pressure. He returned to work and gave Robert the news, claiming that a lost client meant there was no room for him on the team anymore. The lie was transparent, but Robert didn't protest. He simply nodded, thanked Caleb for the opportunity, and left, humiliated and defeated. The Woolpack revelation. Later that evening, Robert sought solace at the Woolpack, drowning his sorrows in a pint and trying to make sense of the sudden collapse of his new job. That's when he bumped into Jay Sharma, the depot manager for Caleb's business. Trying to play it casual, Robert asked about the big client Caleb had supposedly lost. Jay looked confused. "What client?" he replied. In that instant, the pieces fell into place. Caleb hadn't lost any clients. The entire story had been fabricated, under John's coercion. Fueled by anger and betrayal, Robert stormed out of the pub. He didn't have to look far for his next confrontation. Spotting John near Victoria's house, Robert marched up to him and unleashed his fury. "I know what you did," he spat, his voice trembling with rage. John tried to dismiss him, muttering, "Just leave it, Robert." But Robert was past the point of restraint. "I'm going to make sure Aaron sees you for who you really are," he growled. That was all it took. The two Sugden brothers, bound by blood but separated by years of distrust and bitterness, finally came to blows. Shouts echoed through the quiet village street as fists flew and emotions boiled over. It was Victoria who broke up the fight. Hearing the noise, she ran outside, horrified to see her two brothers grappling like enemies. "Stop it, both of you," she cried. But the real damage had already been done. In the chaos, John spotted the black eye still visible on Victoria's face. He froze. "You did this?" he asked Robert, his expression morphing from fury to disgust. "It was an accident," Robert said quickly, "I didn't mean." John was already reaching for his phone. "I'm calling the police," he barked. Victoria stepped between them. "Don't," she pleaded. "If you do that, you'll never see me again." Her voice cracked under the weight of her emotions. She wasn't just trying to protect Robert, she was trying to protect what little family they had left. Reluctantly, John backed down. But his glare said everything. The battle lines had been drawn. Fallout and foreshadowing. As the credits rolled, viewers were left reeling. What began as Robert's cautious first step back into society ended in betrayal, violence, and the resurrection of buried secrets. John's paranoia about Robert's presence in Aaron's orbit hinted at unresolved issues, and perhaps a deeper insecurity about his own place in Aaron's life. Meanwhile, Caleb's dilemma is far from over. The skeletons in his closet are rattling louder than ever, and with Robert now aware of the cover-up, there's no telling what he might do next. As for Victoria, she's once again caught in the crossfire, torn between two brothers, each with their own demons. With her loyalty to Robert now clear, what will this mean for her bond with John? And how will Aaron react if, or when, he finds out about John's blackmail? A village on edge. This latest Emmerdale episode delivers everything fans love about the soap. Emotional intensity, morally gray characters, and storylines that ripple through generations. Robert Sugden's return to the fold might have been brief, but it's already stirring up old tensions and setting new dramas in motion. And with Caleb Milligan now firmly entangled in John's schemes, the village can expect more chaos ahead. One thing is certain. In Emmerdale, the past is never really buried, and sometimes, it's your own family who holds the shovel.